it's a problem between Frank and Kathy. They want to get married, and Kim feels like her disability is keeping them from being able to be together. She wants them to be able to have a normal child. And Kathy, there is a unknown to Philip and to anybody else. There had been a courtship that had developed between a retired Texas Ranger, Frank Criswell, and Kathy. And it had gone to the point that they had actually discussed marriage, but there was a problem, and that Frank asked if Kathy and Frank could ask Philip if Kathy and Frank could come out and discuss with him a problem that had developed. So he invites them out to their house, and they sit on the front porch. Front porch is absolutely necessary if you have a house in West Texas. You can't have a house without a front porch, because that's where everything happens. And so they're sitting on the front porch, and Emma takes Kim back into the kitchen where they're going to eat up the last of Philip's homemade peach ice cream. And they discuss the problem, and the problem is that Kathy had gone into Kim's room one night and found Kim crying. And she was crying because she wanted to die. And the reason she wanted to die is so that her mom could be normal and have a normal family. And Kim had felt like, for no real reason, no right reason, that the reason her dad must have left was because she was blind. And she was blaming that and the fact that her mom couldn't have a normal life because she was blind. And she wanted her mom to be happy. And she felt like if they could start over without her, that they could be happy. And so Philip accidentally, while they're discussing the problem, mentions a character out of the Old Testament, actually a son of Jonathan, David's best friend, and his name was Mephibosheth. And this unusual name came up, and it gave Philip an idea. So he tells them to go on about their grocery shopping and come back later, and that he and Kim are going to go down to the lake and catch some catfish for dinner. And they do, and during that time, Philip has an opportunity to talk to Kim about what she thinks is wrong. And Kim expresses that she doesn't think that her mom can be normal, can have a normal marriage with her around. And she feels like she's an anchor to her mom's happiness. And she's willing to die to have her mom's happy. And Philip tells her the story about Mephibosheth. And the story is that Mephibosheth was the rightful heir to the throne, and David was the king. And because of that, they had taken him on the east side of the Jordan and basically hid him out because the normal thing to happen was for the king to kill any living heirs. Of course, David would have never done that, but David finds out about it and tells the servant, who the servant, by the way, has taken over Jonathan's estate, living on the farm, living like a landowner, where he's really only a servant, and living the good life at Mephibosheth's expense. And so David tells him to come to bring Mephibosheth to his home. And when he gets there, he tells Mephibosheth that he and Jonathan had made a covenant, that in the war that was going on, that if either one of them were killed, the other one would take care of the family. And it's the same kind of covenant that God makes with his people. The people of Israel, the different covenants he made with them, and the new covenant that affects all of us believers and will affect Israel when Christ returns. And David is going to protect Mephibosheth, and Philip explains that to Kim, and in that explanation, Kim's just smart as a whip, and she's catching on to everything that Philip's saying, even though he thinks he's talking down to her, and Kim understands it all. And Kim gets back to there, and she's a different person, happy, and and she explains to her mom that she's now little Miss Mephibosheth. And her mom, about that same time, she also reaches down deep in her pocket and pulls out an 8-ring rattler. And which her mom just gasped at that. And of course Frank has to grab his handkerchief and put his over his mouth so he doesn't laugh out loud. Kim decides to explain to her mom, before Philip even gets an opportunity to, that no, she wants to just be thought of as little Miss Mephibosheth because she understands God's loving kindness. There's a Hebrew word there, chesed, and it has a lot of meaning to it. It means more than just love, and very often in the Bible it'll be translated loving kindness. And that's God's love. It's covenant love that includes being a benefactor, being a grace, mercy, kindness, caring for another. And Kim understands that, and she realizes what grace really means, and she realizes that she really can be a part of this family without in any way having to be different than she is right now.